Welcome, welcome, everybody, to my first episode of Come Back to Love. We are on KMET Radio, and this is Robyn Vogel. And I want to invite you in this moment to come back to love with me. This is episode one. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for listening in. I will be here every week, Thursdays at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, and that's 4:30 p.m. Eastern for those of you listening on the East Coast. Welcome, welcome. I decided to call this episode Why I Created This Show and Why Now? And I'm going to spend some time today answering that question for you. So first, I wanted to just take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Robyn Vogel. I am the founder of the business and the coaching practice and the book, Come Back to Love, and the radio show, Come Back to Love. I am an author, a psychotherapist, a love and intimacy coach, and I am someone who has been working in the field of relationships and love and intimacy for 25 years. I've supported couples, I've supported individuals, all with a purpose of looking at and discovering and identifying the blocks that show up in the heart. Somebody this morning described it as ice, frozen, covering their heart. And in that case of this particular couple that I spoke with this morning, it was really blocking them from being in love. After 25 years of being married, it was really blocking them from connecting, from opening up to each other. They were living pretty good parallel lives, raising 3 kids, doing pretty well, and had some years of disconnection. One of them was working extra hard, the other one was home with the kids, and the disconnection sort of slowly built up a wall. And one of them feels like her heart is just closed and covered up with ice, frozen in time, frozen in fear. And so my work, this is just an example I'm giving you in this moment, but my work is to support you in finding those places that are frozen, that are afraid, that were hurt and don't want to be hurt again, and therefore keeping love at a distance. Either it's kept you out of relationship completely, or you're in relationship and it's kept you distant from your partner. And either way, in any case, there is healing to do so that you can come back to love with yourself, first and foremost, and with each other. So I'm Robyn Vogel, and I have the honor and the pleasure of doing that work on a daily basis with the most incredibly beautiful, earnest people. Yeah, it's been an incredible gift all these years. And I'm so excited to share it with you here on the radio every week. So there's a moment that most of us have had. Maybe it's 2 a.m. and you're lying awake, wondering how you ended up here. Maybe you're like the clients that I just spoke about, feeling alone or lonely inside a relationship, or replaying love that didn't work out the way you had hoped. Or maybe it's a Thursday afternoon and you're fine, you're successful, you're busy, you're okay. And then a song comes on the radio, or you see a couple holding hands and something in you quietly aches. That ache is not a problem. That ache is actually the most alive part of you. I'm going to say that again. I know that that would be a paradigm shift for anybody listening. That ache is not a problem. That's probably the most important piece there, because most people that I speak to feel like their feelings are a problem. I feel sad. I feel angry. I feel like I keep repeating patterns. I feel like I'm so stupid. Why did I stay in that abusive relationship? Why did I go back to that abusive relationship? And and most people describe that as a problem they're having that needs to be fixed. So I'm taking and do take a completely different approach to this work, and you'll get to know me and you'll get to know the work as you listen to this radio show each week. So I'm going to say again, a third time, that ache is not a problem. That ache is actually the most alive part of you. It's your heart saying, I haven't given up. I still believe that something more is possible. Welcome to Come Back to Love. Again, I'm Robyn Vogel, and this is KMET Radio. And this show exists because of that ache. And because of what I've learned in 20 plus years of sitting with people in their most tender and courageous moments. Sitting with people, listening to what they have to say and what it takes to answer the yearning for love. So stay with me. This radio show is going to be a combination of sharing and offering you practices. If you're driving, you can do the practices while you're driving. If you're taking a walk and listening to the radio, you can pause and sit down, take a moment. If you're listening to a replay somewhere, because we know this is aired all over the place, all over the world, you can take time. You can go grab your journal and pen, a cup of coffee or tea, and sit down and do some of the exercises that I will be sharing with you each week. Some of them from my book, Come Back to Love, A Path to Healing, that was just published a couple months ago, February 2026. That can be found anywhere online and at your local library if you request it. Published by Kohler Books. Really exciting to have a book out into the world. So, before I tell you a little bit more about what I do, I want to tell you who I am. Because I didn't come to this work from the outside. I came to this work from the inside. I know what it's like to have done everything right, the therapy, the self-help books, the workshops, the journaling, and still find myself in the same patterns. Still drawn to people who aren't quite available, still giving more than I was receiving, still wondering why love feels so hard when everything else in life seems to be working. I know what it's like to rebuild after heartbreak, to look in the mirror after a relationship ends, or in my case, my partner dies, and ask, what is it in me that keeps creating situations that end over and over and over again? I actually had a divorce first and then a partner who passed away. That question, asked honestly with curiosity instead of self-blame, that question changed my life. And it's the question that became my life's work. So again, my name is Robyn Vogel. I'm a psychotherapist, a love and intimacy coach, and the author of Come Back to Love, A Path to Healing. For over 20 years, I've been helping people do what I had to learn to do myself: heal the past, understand the patterns, and create the kind of love that actually is real. Not the love that looks good on paper, not the love that feels like a roller coaster you can't get off, but the love that feels like, finally, this is what I was looking for. You see, when I was young, I lost my mother. She died when I was 10 years old. She got sick when I was 6 years old. And in those days, in the early 70s, people didn't talk. Never mind about their feelings. They didn't talk about anything. And the wisdom, I say that lightly, from the doctors was, don't talk about what's happening, with the kids. When my mother was sick, when she had a doctor who said to her, oh, that's nothing, go home. Go home and, put your feet up and relax. You'll feel better. And a year later, the cancer had metastasized to her whole body. Let's pretend everything's okay. Shuffle the kids here and there during surgeries, during treatments. when we just couldn't take another day of doing anything but focusing on ourselves, we'll drop the kids off down the street at the neighbors. But let's not tell the children what's actually going on. This trauma in my life has been a massive undertaking of understanding what happened and how it's impacted me and how it has impacted me. And even now, with all the work, how it still impacts me, because it's so profound, it's so deep, and healing is ongoing. So I share that with you so that my listeners can know me better. Certainly reach out to me if you've had any type of experience that reverberates or reflects something similar. You can always write to me at robyn@comebacktolove.com. I want to say that right now. Robyn with a Y. Robyn is spelled with a Y at comebacktolove.com. That's all spelled out. Feel free to put KMET in the subject line and just say, yes, I had a similar experience of loss when I was a child, and it continues to impact me every single day of my life, and I haven't figured out how to heal. What should I do next? Because I love to connect with people. My work is all about intimacy and connection, and I would love to connect with you. So I just want to say that, like, there's nothing like two people meeting each other and saying, yes, I hear you, I understand you, I had a similar experience. That is like such a profound moment. So you are always welcome to do that. Okay, so that's a bit about my story. I will share more. But that's where I am coming from. I'm coming from a very dysfunctional environment where the relationships between parent and child and sibling to sibling were very strained and very difficult. And I've needed to figure out, and identify what really happened. What really, really happened all those years, not only before my mother got, not only when my mother died, but before she got sick and then after she died and how it was handled in the family. So that's been an unraveling over many years, and it has brought me to my work, this incredibly beautiful work that I do with others and continue to do with myself. So, one of the things that it has brought me to is that I've led workshops and retreats across the country. This year, I'm teaching at Kripalu and the Omega Institute, both of those on the East Coast of the US, and extraordinary places all around the world. I've taught in Costa Rica and Italy, Mexico. I've sat with hundreds of people in their most vulnerable and courageous moments. And what I've learned from all of the experiences and from my own journey is what this show is all about. Again, Come Back to Love airs right here on KMET every Thursday at 1:30 Pacific. Just you and me, no guests trying to sell you anything, no quick fixes, just honest, practical, sometimes uncomfortable, always loving conversation about what it really takes to come back to love with yourself, with others, and with your life. So let's get into it even more deeply. This is the one thing that nobody tells you about heartbreak. I want to teach this to you today. Something I wish someone had told me years ago, and something I now consider one of the most important truths about love and healing. And here it is. Heartbreak is not evidence that love isn't possible for you. I'll say that again. Heartbreak is not evidence that love isn't possible for you. It's evidence that your heart is still trying. I know that might sound simple, but I want you to really sit with it for a moment, because most of us, when we've been hurt enough times, start to build a very different story. We start to believe that heartbreak means something about us. Something's wrong, that we're too much, that we're not enough, that we didn't act well, we're bad at this, we're not good at that, and then you can go on and on, like I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm too much of something. It can sometimes reflect to us in our belief system that we chose badly, that love is just not for us. And that is actually a story that I believed for a very long time. I used to believe it was for other people, but not for me. That story can be quiet, but also very corrosive. It's the real thing standing between you and the love you want. Not your past, not your age, not the fact that you've been divorced for however many times and for however long, and not that the last three relationships didn't work. The story. So let me ask you something. I want you to really listen to what comes up inside you when I ask it. What do you believe deep down underneath all the hope and the trying? What do you actually believe about whether real love is possible for you? Whatever came up, that's the work. That's the inner work. Because here's what I've seen happen again and again in 20 years. When someone shifts that belief, when they go from, I don't think love is really possible for me. In fact, I know it's not, to, I'm beginning to believe it might be. Everything changes. Not just their relationships, but everything. The way they carry themselves, the way they are in the world, the way they make choices, the actual choices they make, the people they attract, the way they treat themselves on a Tuesday afternoon when nobody's watching. The love you have with other people is always, always a reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. I know you've probably heard that before, but today I want to say it differently. You cannot receive love more deeply than you believe you deserve. Let me say that again. You cannot receive love more deeply than you believe you deserve to receive. In other words, you can only take in as much love as you feel like you deserve. So if you feel like you deserve a little, then you take in a little. So let that land for a moment. This means that all the dating apps, all the first dates, all the right swiping and the left swiping, and the profile optimizing in the world, all of that won't bring you what you're looking for until this shifts, until you do the inner work and make the inner shifts happen. The beautiful thing, the thing that keeps me doing this work over 20 years, is that it can shift. It does shift. I've watched it happen in a single conversation, on a retreat, in a quiet moment, when someone finally stops arguing with themselves and just decides to believe something different. Maybe love is for me. That's what we're doing on this show. Every episode, I'm going to bring you something real. Again, a teaching, a practice, a truth that you can take into your actual life, not just to think about, but to actually use. Because this work isn't meant to live in your head. I know you're listening, so you're using your brain capacity, but this work is meant to live in your body, to live in your choices, to live inside your relationships, to live inside your heart. It's meant to bring you home to yourself. So we're going to do a simple practice. Stay with me now because this piece is the piece that I'm going to teach. You're going to learn in this moment, and then you can take it home and practice it. It's beautiful. And if you never tune in again for some reason, you're going to have a practice that you can use for the rest of your life. And I love to make the complex simple. So we don't have to think and overthink. You just do something very simple that has the ripple effects in the body and a profound change. It's really, I love when that happens. It's amazing, and I know you will too. So I want to give you something again that you can take with you. Something you can do today, right now, if you want. And like I said, takes a short amount of time, 2 minutes or so, or maybe a little more. And it's the foundation for everything we're going to explore together on this show. Sometime today, in your car, in the shower, before you fall asleep, and right now, if you can, I want to invite you to place one hand on your heart. and take one slow breath. It's helpful to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And again, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I want to invite you to say these words out loud if you can, quietly if you need to, or as loud as you possibly can if you want to. I am someone who is learning to come back to love. We're going to start right at the beginning. Not, I've arrived, I figured this out already, because that's just like bypassing all the things that need to be tended to, looked at, held, loved, healed. I want to invite all of us, whether you've done a ton of work over the last 50 years or you've been steeped in psychotherapy for the last 6 months, or you haven't done anything yet, except kind of think about it. All of us are beginners. Beginners, people say beginner's mind. I say beginner's heart. I am someone who is learning to come back to love. Feel your hand on your heart. Feel the warmth now. And take in that belief about yourself. What is it like to receive that belief about yourself? Notice what comes up when you say it. Notice if part of you resists. Notice if part of you, even a small part, believes it. That small part is where we begin. That small part is everything. So I invite you to practice that. This has been the first episode of Come Back to Love on KMET, and I'm so glad you were here listening with me. If something stirred in you today, if you felt something open or recognized yourself in what we explored, I want you to know that you don't have to figure this out alone. I offer a free 30-minute private conversation, just the two of us, no agenda, except to understand where you are and what might be possible for you. You can find that and more about me on comebacktolove.com. I also had invited you to scoop me an email if you really want to, share anything that came up for you. That's Robyn, R-O-B-Y-N, at comebacktolove.com. You can book your free 30 minutes on my website, comebacktolove.com. And if you're not ready for a conversation, that's okay too. Come back next Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific. That's 4:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on KMET. I will be here. This show is called Come Back to Love because I believe with everything in me that love is not something you find. It is something you return to. It's already in you. It's always been in you. We're just finding our way back. I'm Robyn Vogel. Be gentle with yourself. Love is possible, and it starts with coming back to you. I'll see you next week. Thanks for being here.